outside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. At short third man, it's the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd. Joining me this evening, I've got Professor of Astrophysics at Oxford University and host of BBC TV's The Sky at Night, Professor Chris Lintott. And joining us live, this is a first, this is a scoop, live from the team bus en route to Chelmsford. We have got Somerset CCC digital guru and live stream wonder, Ben Warren. Gents, we recovered from yesterday?
Oh, not really, if I'm honest. It was a strange game. If you look at the 4 days, it was very odd. I went to day 2, the Monday, and I think we maybe picked the least important day of a really exciting match to watch. But the last hour and a half yesterday was quite something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so gutted that I couldn't make it. I had family stuff to be getting on with, but glued to the live stream. Absolutely glued to it. Never really looked in doubt, did it? It was just like, so we talk about Tom Abell, just an absolutely fantastic superhuman knock. I don't think he gave a chance. He was absolutely just one of the probably the calmest man in the ground. Just stroked it round, and then just an absolute champagne moment, just going bang, 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 bang off that final over 4-4. 6-6, job done. Thank you very much. On to Essex.
Brilliant. Yeah, it was absolutely sensational, wasn't it? I think when we went into the day 4, it was, I wouldn't use the word inevitable, but I think everybody around the ground at about sort of 11 o'clock thought, do you know what, 4 and over, the pitch is flat, we've got half a chance here, and that seems, that sort of just shows sort of how modern cricket's gone on, isn't it? That you can be met with a 410 run chase even on a 4th innings, despite a flat pitch, and think that Somerset are pretty in with a shot here. So yeah, an incredible day of cricket, and yeah, I'm sure we'll pick the bones out of it in a sec. But yeah, just amazing to get the ground for, really.
Yeah, we didn't panic. We didn't rush either. It's not like they came out and tried to go at 6 and over or anything to begin with. There was we knew we had to build a foundation, which they did. And we'll go through the scorecard, I'm sure. But, by tea, we were still, 200 behind, more or less? A little less than that? 180 maybe?
It was 180 off 33 at tea.
That's right.
Seems to ring a bell.
Which, if you've got your normal county championship hat on, that's a draw with a shake. Yeah, somebody's going to shake hands half an hour after tea. Except that we were so in control that it felt like we turned the thermostat up and boiled the Warwickshire frog slowly, I suppose, to stretch a metaphor.
I mean, and all this after winning the toss. Let's go through the story of the game. So Craig Overton, standing in for Lewis Gregory, who wasn't quite recovered from a little groin niggle, wins the toss on Sunday morning, puts Warwickshire into bat. There's a bit of juice in the pitch. The general feeling, though, is you get suckered into bowling at Taunton and it goes flat very quick, which it did. Yeah. But I thought first morning, I don't think they bowled a bad ball until probably the 11th or 12th over when, I think maybe Davey or Aldridge shut one down the leg side. They were utterly relentless, and then it was 40 for 4. You think, fantastic, brilliant. 180 all out. No, that's what happens at Taunton, folks.
Well, it's Taunton, but it's also
it's cash in.
It's also Warwickshire. It's if you look at their season, they've put some big first innings up, and almost always their top 3 have failed. They're having real trouble at the top of the order, and then their middle order seems to, whether pitch is always flatten out for them. So when we got to 40 for 4 or whatever it was, I thought we might be into that, but they batted quite well. Things flattened out. It didn't seem disastrous, though, at the end of the day, right? 380 for 8, not what we wanted, but 3 days left. And, we turned up to Taunton on day 2 thinking, right, 2 quick wickets, and then it was frustrating because they put on what, 30 or 40 that morning. It felt like more than that. It wasn't the quick start we wanted, and there weren't chances flying past the bat, or we got the couple of wickets in the end. And then Somerset, I mean, did what Somerset always do: lose a wicket early, rebuild slowly to a position, and then it's going to go one of 2 ways. We were something like 80 for 3, 77 for 3 or something at lunch, something like that.
57. We were 57 for 3, and then Banton and Abell put that partnership on of 149, I think.
Yeah, and they both looked great, actually. I thought Tom Banton in particular, Abell was the calm and Chancellor Self he normally is, but Tom Banton looked like the red ball player. It's the first time this season I've seen him bat in person, and he looked so in control, and he looked like he had this ability to just click up a gear whenever he wanted to. So he started very solidly, and then some shots started to come out, and when he got out for, it was about 80, wasn't it, he looked genuinely gutted, at least from where I was at the Trez, because there was a big score there waiting, I think, and it was the first chance he'd given, and it's just unlucky, I think.
I think it's definitely going to come for him. He looks so much more comfortable in his own skin as a red ball cricketer this year. It's unbelievable. A couple of years ago, I was going to say last year, but he played 1 game last year when he got 1 innings last year. A couple of years ago, he just looked a bit tense. He just looked a bit nervous. But this year, now he's just, he's just taken this chance with both hands.
Yeah, there's a great
really paid off for him.
Great stat about scoring more of his runs on the offside this year, and I think that sort of, when you watch him bat, I think that stat sort of plays out. You see his drives through the offside; they really look like they're flowing. His timing level well, and I think that it's across all formats, that stat, but I think it just has helped them across all assets of the game. Just being it's really good to see, and I think it's what Somerset needed to take their red ball game to the next level. I think we all know that Tom Abell is a very special player, and that some others have stepped up now and really sort of helped them spread the weight of runs around, which is why we are where we are in the table, amongst other things.
Yeah, it's almost like having a new signing. I had a text from a friend who was watching, and it was, if you haven't seen him before this season, it is like this new guy, Tom Banton's come in, and he's a decent red ball player, and our obvious choice in the middle order. It's great. But then I have to mention, I know Dan's not on tonight, but I knew he'd be getting upset on Twitter when this happened. So we lost a wicket with five overs to go, sent in a night watchman. The night watchman went out, and we sent in a second night watchman, which poor Jack didn't do very much at all. And I know this is one of Dan's hatreds in the game, is that you should never send in a second night watchman, sending good money after bad. And we sort of paid for that a bit. And the innings sort of petered out early next morning, right?
Yeah, never really kicked on. Craig Overton made a bright and breezy unbeaten 35, but neither Rue Aldridge or Pretorius really got going. Should we have a little chat about Pretorius, because he bowled his bollocks off first innings, 5 for 5 for
100 odd, I think.
5 for 104. Yeah, 412 is pretty good. Ben, is Sarge sat near you? Can you see, is he emailing any South African agents? Has the greatest player to have ever played for Somerset now flown back to the Cape, or is he staying on for a little bit longer?
I'm not actually too sure. I believe that is it. But yeah, I mean, he bowled brilliantly to me on that first morning. That ball that got Sam Hain out was
a nut, absolute nut,
standout. That it just moved enough, and yeah, he's really has grown into it, hasn't he? Every passing game, he looks better and better and better, and he's always bowling those attacking lengths. He doesn't shy away from trying to get the ball up, get the ball moved, and yeah, that spell on Sunday morning was really, really good at the top draw.
Yeah, it was a 3 for 11 off 6 overs, something like that. Yeah, you got 3 of the first 4. David got the other one. You've just gone a bit quiet, Ben. I don't know if you've hit a flat spot with.
Well, I was just going to say, have you officially forgiven him for the Oval then, Shep? If you're
yeah,
he's gone. We don't even remember.
He's still got the golden apple. That's his. That's not going away. That's set in stone. But yeah, absolutely, 100% forgiven. And kudos to the powers that be for finding yet another pretty decent overseas signing at short notice as well.
Who we all said when he signed.
Miguel, and now it's
yeah.
Exactly. Miggy P. We love you, Miggy P. We want you back for the One Day Cup, Miggy.
Yeah, what could be better than coming and playing in that? I mean, we may not have Mondrian inspired shirts this year, but we're still a good outfit.
He's got One Day Cup written all over him.
We'll come on to that. But so then, where did we leave that? Oh yeah, so day 3 was weird. I was dipping in and out due to having to do work and things. But every time I tuned in, it didn't seem like it was going great for us. Especially in the morning session was depressing. It looked like we were going to get rolled over. And what were they? They got to 100 and something for 1, right?
They never batted with any real intent, though, did they?
Yeah, but at lunchtime, if I'd called you, you would have. I'm not sure you would have said, "Oh yeah, there'll be 280 for 8 at the end," because that.
No, I'd have. I mean, we know how easy it is to score quick runs at Taunton. Not necessarily by slogging,
you should be.
But,
trying to get 400 in a day, as we found out, right? So.
I mean, I don't think the pitch got flattened out that much from days 3 to 4, but I mean, Sam Hain. What a quality player! 43 of 118. Will Rose,
and he's a good T20 player as well.
Yeah, I mean, only Bethel had a half decent strike rate, 79, 66 of 83. Everybody else just didn't really want to bat with any initiative or momentum to try and really take the game away from Somerset.
I almost think they had a plan for the day, which you can't really, and I always think this is an error because you have to play the conditions and the bowlers that you're dealing with. But I think they'd probably, somewhere on a whiteboard in the Warwickshire dressing room, there was like 100 in the first session, 100 in the second session, then accelerate. But what happened in the third session was that Craig and Jack Leach bowled really well. And they were trying to accelerate, but wickets were going, and they held them to about 3 and over for a large part of that last session. And that's the point where it went wrong for Warwickshire, I think. Because I think they'd said, look, just bat sensibly, lay a platform, and then we'll go for it. And then when they tried to go for it, that coincided with our best bowling spell of the day. And so they were stuck in this middle ground. And then for some reason they declared, which I don't understand, because that would have been the plan, right? If they'd stuck to my imaginary whiteboard, they would have got 400 and declared, and we'd have been playing for a draw. But they didn't, and then they declared. I know you both play more cricket than I do. Does that declaration make any sense to you? I know, and obviously,
I gotta say, my county championship days are somewhat behind me, Chris. I think Ben's quite close to getting in the team.
I mean, we only need half the people on that coach to end up with food poisoning for Ben to get in the team.
Can I just go a bit off topic, Ben? Do you ever sit and think, God, if like 7 people get food poisoning, I'm in the team? Is that like?
Yeah, during COVID, when we were playing in empty grounds, absolutely crossed my mind that if 3 or 4 go down here, I'm not a million miles away from being asked to not being the social media admin and go and field. But no, thankfully that has not happened, and I can play out my village days with Middlesex without having a mental scar of playing first class cricket. So, but yeah, I think you're spot on, Chris, in that actually the third day was where, even though nobody knew it at the time, that was where Warwickshire lost the game. And if you look at I looked through Warwickshire supporters last night, and they were all very disappointed with how they batted on that third day. And I think that difference between scoring 400 and 450 would have probably made all the difference. You know, it would have meant Somerset needed to score at 5s straight off the bat, and then that rate goes up to 6s and 7s early. Like, I think they would have changed the whole complexion of that fourth day had they got another 40 or 50 runs. And I know that's a very obvious thing to say, but I think they know they needed the whole day to take 10 wickets. I think they knew that they weren't going to declare any time into day 4 because they wouldn't give themselves any hope of winning that match. So they needed 96 overs, but they also needed Somerset to try and attempt to chase the runs down.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they got it slightly wrong. And credit to Somerset for making that happen, because it would have been really easy with a deficit. We see it in third innings all the time. That you've got a lead. Effectively, the game meanders its way through to a declaration, and then it's like, right, the game's starting again, and now it's go time. But Somerset never let that happen on day 3, and that's where I think that the game was won and lost. Ultimately,
it's interesting. I caught an interview with Alfie Ogborn briefly, who was the 12th man on that day 3, and he was saying that at lunchtime, the general, his word, vibe was that the game had, that the aim was to get a draw, but we dragged ourselves back from that. And that's commitment, right? We to run in that hard when you think you're playing for the edge of a chance is really, really impressive. And then day 4 was weirdly unstressful, as you said at the beginning. That chase compared to the Essex game earlier in the year, it did look like we were always going to make it from.
Well, I think the thing about the modern cricketer is they are unfazed by a run chase. I always think of Joss Butler in this scenario. Never really cracked Test cricket, but by far his best innings was that run chase with him and Chris Wokes putting that massive partnership on in the COVID year. I think would have been either Pakistan or West Indies. They chased 380 or whatever it was. But Butler, being the white ball player that he is when it's road mapped, he knows what to do. And I think now, with all the white ball cricket that's played around the world, you say, right, you've got to bat for a day, you've got to score 410 overs, and then you can just road map little spots if you hit throughout the day. I think I tweeted off at the start of day 4, just be in the game at tea. That's all you got to do. First 2 sessions, just make sure you're in the game at tea. And that's really what they did. And as you say, Chris, it was remarkably calm viewing. I mean, I was more excited and more nervous watching the finale to the Gloucester Glamorgan game
that was
afterwards, which was absolutely incredible. I mean, I know it's nothing to do with Somerset, but I'm sure we're going to have 5 minutes on that in a little while. But as you say, there was no stage where I thought, oh God, we're in the shit here.
Yeah, I'm just looking down the scorecard. So we started off well. So Umid started well, right? And I think there's a lot of credit because he came out and got 30, but it was fast, wasn't it?
30
and he sort of said, he said, okay, so this is what we're doing. TK, our new obvious opener, which I know on the podcast you've been crying out for TKC to open for years. It's such an obvious thing, but
I mean, I'm going back to what we were talking about earlier. I thought genuinely 7 players getting food poisoning and Ben walking out with Tom Abell was more likely than TKC wandering out at Trent Bridge.
But what's interesting is this one he was played the solid. He didn't hit out, right? He scored at 49 at strike rate of about 50 odd. So that's not. Because you think TKC opening, you think he'd be the one striking, but no, we needed somebody to just sit there, and he did that, and then Lamberby did his bit, and then we had the Abel and Banton show again.
Yeah,
not a show Warwickshire will want to see again soon. I don't think.
I think TKC's method was, I can't lose. I can't. We can lose the game in the first session, but we can't win it. So 49 off 101. I mean, he played a bit of a silly shot to get out, but I think that was exactly his thought. Okay, well, Ooms is going along absolutely fine. I don't need to play any big shots, knocking it round, and then knowing that he has got the game if it does turn out needing
if he's
to be
still there
eight,
when
and,
it gets
8 and over
yeah.
after tea. Hey, that's me. TKC, off I go.
Yeah. And then Abel and Bantam were just brilliant, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the day, like they were on the previous day. I don't think was there a chance given. I don't remember one. Certainly not till later on in the innings. And then we need to talk about James Rew's innings as well, because that was the point where we're just wobbling a bit. We'd lost a couple of wickets in we'd lost 2 in 3 or 4 overs, and you're on 5, and you're thinking. Well, I was texting people to say I hope they still go for it, because the previous generation would have put down roots at that point and said, okay, that we gave it a go, we'll stop. And then Rew was just amazing. He just put the ball where it needed to go, scored a runner ball more or less, and just took us home with Tom Abell finishing it off. It was great. I could watch that last hour. I have watched that last hour at least. A couple of times. I might put it on again during the middle of the night tonight and keep an eye on it.
Well, yeah, because you're not allowed to talk about that, Chris.
No, that's right. I'm not. I realise that, as I said. Yeah, BBC rules. If I happen to be up waiting for the space station to pass over.
Chris goes, right, I work for the BBC. We are not allowed to talk about the national event that's going on today. And I'm so paranoid about getting you in trouble because I didn't even name it. Okay.
And then I meant I was staying up to watch the space station, which passes over at about 2 a.m.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's work.
Got you.
Anyway, yeah.
Is that the space station that generally passes over Sunderland and Newcastle at about 11, and then doesn't appear again until about 3 in the morning?
No, this one comes round every 90 minutes. It's much more frequent. Anyway, say nice things about James Rew and or Tom Abell. I think that's where we've landed in the.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of keeping Tom Abell to be the main event. They said, Miggy P went in ahead of James Rew just to try and get the momentum going again, which he did 14 off 10 balls. But as you say, James Rew's been a little bit short of runs this year, but looks to be getting back to a bit of form. And again, I can only remember sort of 2 or 3 really big shots from him, but 7 4s and a 6.
I think he just added that slight acceleration, didn't he?
Yeah.
He played Bethel really nicely. I mean, and Bethel bowled pretty well in the game. I thought, he was obviously not like a front line spinner, but I thought he bowled pretty nicely. And I think Rui just kind of upped the tempo. There was a slog sweep. There was a couple down the ground. It just took the pressure off Tom just at the right time, didn't it? So. I think what's really interesting sometimes in these big run chases when teams get off to good starts is you often find a situation where you get down to it. Would a team be prepared to lose to try and win? And I think that's what quite remarkable about this is that none of those questions were ever asked.
It was really, so weird.
From either team, no team had the kind of decision to whether trying to gamble to try and carry on the rest of their hard work and get risk that sort of to get those extra points. And I think Rui takes a lot of credit for that in the way that he never got down. Somerset always had escape plans if it didn't happen. If they needed to shut, they always had those options on the table because Rui supported Tom so well.
I think when you're 10 and 11 and Josh Davey and Jack Leach, you're never going to really be out of it, certainly after tea. And bearing in mind as well that Surrey had already beaten Essex to go that little bit further ahead in the table, I would like to think we would have carried on chasing that 4-10 till the bitter end.
But I feel like we've earned that this season because in the last few seasons we've had a bad start for whatever reason, and so at this point in the season, when we've come to these middle games, it's been half looking up the table, half looking down, and when you're there, fear of losing, or if you prefer, a more sensible approach to getting the safe points. If you're worried about finishing near the bottom, then you grab the points you can. Whereas we've had a good start this year, so we can take these risks because now. The worst that happens is that we end up in third. That would be fine. I would have taken that at the start of the season. So I do think we've built, like in an innings, we've built a platform this season that enables us to take risk. and that's going to be really exciting in the games in September, because we should go out to try and win them all, because that might win us a championship.
Absolutely. Well, it's inevitable. I've decided it's inevitable. We're going to win the championship this year. So just enjoy the cricket. It's going to happen. We are definitely going to win the championship. 100% inevitable. So don't worry about it. It's just going to be there at the end of September. I'm not worried.
I wanted to ask you about it's an opposition player, but I was intrigued to see Chris Wokes. I've never seen him bowl in person before, and he seemed. You wouldn't have picked him as the England player on display, I don't think, out of the Warwickshire bowlers. Hannon Dolby looked much more threatening.
Hannon Dolby,
he was solid, but yeah, I don't know. Did the track not suit him? Did he not like?
There's not a lot of cricket as he. Don't think he's had too much cricket over the last few weeks, but it's all gone pretty well on the whole. I think he was slightly unlucky, but. Yeah, Hannon Dolby was certainly the pick of the Warwickshire attack. Brilliant all game.
Yeah, certainly the day we watched. But he got 8 in the match, and Wokes got 0 for 53 in the first innings, and then nothing for 82 in the second. So not the most cheerful. Maybe Bashir can have a word with him when they turn up. About
we'll talk about that in a minute, definitely. Yeah, I'm really impressed with Hannon Dolby. It seemed to me like he was just kissing the pitch a little bit more than any of our bowlers did, sort of second innings, and just getting a little bit more lateral movement that way. But quality kind of.
He managed to move the ball both ways, which was that we were lucky in our position. We were right behind the bowler's arm, and he was very canny in the way he bowled a way swing and then just gently moved the ball back in. He's no great pace, but. He definitely moved the ball, and if you do that, you're genuinely in with a shout.
Right, shall we talk about it then? Thomas Benjamin Abell, career best 152 not out from 207 balls, 14 fours and 2 sixes. Those 2 sixes were his final 2 shots to win the match. He is the greatest cricketer. He is one of the greatest cricketers ever played for Somerset. One of the nicest blokes you'll ever wish to meet. And boy, is it good to see him scoring hundreds and 50s and winning Somerset games of cricket.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. It's difficult to remember that he was injured quite a lot at the start of the season. It feels like quite a long time ago now, and obviously a lot of blast cricket been played since then. But it's only his 3rd championship game of the year, something like that. And
he opened up at Durham, didn't get any, then got 100 at Notts,
and then this 100 and 70 or 80 or whatever it was in the first.
So I believe he's got the highest average in the county championship now.
Well, obviously, because he's the best player. That's generally what happens.
But yeah, it was so in control that there was very few moments where you ever thought he was getting out. I just didn't think he was ever going to get out. And even on it's a flat pitch. Don't get me wrong, it's a flat pitch. But yeah, I reckon he's still been out there now. If he wants.
Yeah, I said last week his 100 at Notts, he didn't quite look his fluent self, but battled through it. But this was a totally different beast.
Especially at the end, that last over where it's gamble to bring on the spinner. Whoever was on comms was saying that it would be a gamble, but it's dismissive. The first 4 down the ground, then a nice swipe at one.
No, it wasn't a spinner. It was Booth. It
was Booth. That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's right. But he'd gone for quite a few, right? So risky, and then 4 down the ground. Nice controlled 4, a controlled 6, and then a classic T20 shot to finish it. He must, and I love the fact he must have known at that point. He knew Somerset were likely to win, almost certain to win. But he must have known either he wanted the 150 or he knew he could get his best ever score by hitting 6. I don't know him well enough to know whether he cares about individual records and so on. But just to
I tell you what, the good thing about getting out just when you need like 2 to win is you do get the whole ground applauding just you as well. I know they're applauding just him anyway, but
it's the same thing for Tom.
Yeah.
For Tom Abell, it's the same thing. If you applaud Somerset, you are applauding Tom Abell. Let's just be clear about that. But the live stream had just started to show clouds coming over. The floodlights were just on. You could just begin, possibly, if you're of a nervous disposition, to imagine that we were going to suffer.
Somerset fans, nervous disposition. Never.
Can you imagine if that had been rained off? If the clouds?
But I think that was the most fear that we, as we were up and we were more worried about it raining or bad light coming into play than we were about Somerset getting bowled out. We thought for one stage that we're going to get to 370 or something, and then it's going to rain and it's going to be the most disappointing end. But yeah, that was it did get quite gloomy at one stage.
Was there any rain at all after play, Ben? Did we get away with it, or would we have been fine?
I don't think there was any rain, but certainly I don't think it got particularly brighter than what it did at the end from memory.
Well, all is well that ends well.
Indeed. Happily watch that game again. Like, let's just have that match in our last 6 games or however many we've got left. That would be perfect.
How were your live stream numbers, Ben? Were they record-breaking numbers, I guess?
Yeah, not quite as good as Gloucestershire's. Not quite as good as Gloucestershire's. No, it was, brilliant. Yeah, it was great. It was those, so many people. It was one of those games where you attract audiences that weren't just Somerset and Warwickshire fans. There were people tuning in from all over. So it was really good actually. There was a lot of love for it, and it was great. It was quite ironic that Trigo was on commentary, who was part of that magnificent 400 chase back in 2009, I think it was. So it all just tied together nicely.
God, what a director to get Trigo on commentary for that moment. You need to buy him a pint. That is one of the lovely things about having when the last afternoon of a full round of championship matches, just dipping in and out the streams, and then there's generally one game left standing, and 9 times out of 10 it's an absolute nail biter. We said we were going to talk about it. That Glamorgan Gloucestershire game was absolutely mad.
Yeah, especially the last over was great because you just about thought they'd got there. He had a single off the second ball
because they would have been level and then they couldn't have lost the game.
Yeah, I guess
it was bizarre, but what a catch! That was incredible. To take your glove off, go anticipate the run out and react like he did. It was. Fair play
I was desperately looking through the laws to see if it had to be a wicket-keeping glove, and that would have actually meant 5 penalty runs to Glamorgan, and they lost. And Gloucester would have lost. I would have loved that.
I was trying to look and see where he put the glove because you risk the obstructing the field if you just dropped it. Right, they didn't have time to have somebody come on and take it. His celebration was amazing. Bracey, he caught it and he took
fair
off.
Play to the cameraman for getting it as well because he was off down the third man. It was, he's quick, isn't he? He's bloody quick.
Yeah. No, what a game. It's great. And the perfect result as well. Just like a game that mad should end in a tie. I think that's just how it should be.
I mean, much as we like to ridicule Gloucester's social media, or Ben does at any rate, I think they said, was that the best finish to a game of cricket ever? And probably yes. Certainly a game of championship cricket.
What did they change? They both sides were out for under 200 in the first innings, and then both of them put up over 500 in the second.
Yeah, I think Gloucester was 610 for 5 declared, leaving Glamorgan 590.
Yeah, so it's just an early declaration, basically. It's this, poor captaincy. That's what's happened there.
I mean, this does go on to sort of a wider point. Is anybody going to ever declare ever again after these 2 games? I mean, it's 2 mad results. I mean, you were talking about the 400 chase with Pete Trigo in 2009. You're looking at 15 years between it for Somerset, but now they just seem to be coming along a lot more regularly. And I'm not sure whether that's a good or a bad thing. Because if these are going to be more regular, you're not going to see sides declaring, so you're not going to see these exciting finishes on the final day, and you'll end up seeing more draws.
Well, I think you're remembering, partly you're remembering the successful ones.
Well, that's true.
So there's a bias, but I think it's also
they call that confirmation bias, Chris.
There you go.
Yeah.
But as you confirm, but I think it does show the balance between points for. We don't have to go over it, but like this balance between points for a draw and points for a win is really important in getting the championship right, because you've got to incentivize people taking the risk. Because at the start of the season we saw, it's changed now, but it was something like 70% of championship games in the first 3 or 4 rounds had ended in draws. And that's, you can have an exciting draw, but that's not good for the game, I don't think.
No. And a lot of these are boring draws as well, like the one we had at Notts last week.
You're right, exactly.
Oh, Chris, I did mean to tell you something, actually. The Hubble Space Telescope, that came out in what, like, it was
early 90s, launched in 1990.
Something like that?
Launched in 1990, repaired in 92.
So how good is that then? Is that how far can that see?
It can see objects that, I wonder where this is going. It can see objects that as they were 10 billion years ago.
Okay, fantastic. And then we've got a new one, that's called the James Webb Space
the JWST
Telescope. How much better is that?
It's going about 13 billion years ago. So 13 instead of 10 billion.
So when do you think we'll invent a telescope that can find a slice of life in that pitch at Trent from last week? See,
I should explain to everyone that I was supposed to do. I should explain I was supposed to be on last week's podcast, and Shep has been preparing that joke. No. I
had it queued up.
You had it done, but it's marinated. It's great. Yeah.
I'm not wasting it. That's being crammed in anywhere.
No, it's good. Some things are beyond even astronomers. Life is hard.
Do you ever feel that if you devoted your career to horticulture and groundsmanship instead of
in all seriousness, those are difficult problems. So my one moment of cricketing fame was that I got on TMS talking to Aggers and managed to curry favour by saying that it was much easier to predict the future of the universe than to predict the spin of a cricket ball, which I think is true. Because there are many other things you have to worry about with a cricket ball, whereas the universe is simple. So that went down very well, I think, with the league of bowlers. So anyway, that was a boring draw. This was not. Yeah. Were you talking about boring draws? But this was not one. What happens next? We play the Blast, right? Tomorrow.
We do, and I can inform you now that the Somerset coach has pulled off the motorway. I can see it stopped at a red light. Ben, how's the mood on the coach? We'll talk about let's go along and talk about the Blast because we're time's ticking along.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, everyone's in good spirits, and we're just heading. We left at 5. There were a lot of traffic problems, so it'll be a bit of a late one getting in. But then that's why we go the day before, so the boys can have a nice prep day tomorrow and get ready to go. It's 7:00 start at Chelmsford.
It's a big match looking at the table, isn't it? Because
a bit of last year's final as well.
Yeah, it's Chelmsford's the highest scoring ground in the Blast this year, and by quite a long way. So expect the highest scoring game. But it should be a really interesting contest.
So we've got a squad, which is Smead, Banton, TKC, Tom Abell, Sean Dixon, Lewis Gregory, who I presume has recovered from his groin niggle if he's being named in the squad. Ben Green, Roloff van der Merwe, Jake Ball, Alfie Ogborn, Riley Meredith, Josh Davey, Jack Leach, and Tom Lammonby. Are they all on the bus, Ben? No one's got left at the services or anything like that? Or
no, everyone's here.
Oh, fantastic. Glad Alfie Ogborn's in the squad. I've been impressed with the little snippets that I've seen from him, sort of bowling for the second 11, and seen him a couple of times bowling at lunch with Steve Kirby on the mitt. I would like to see him play. I've got a feeling he's just along for this the squad and experience. tomorrow. Sonny Baker, of course, is off with the first-class county select 11, playing the West Indies at Beckenham. He did go wicketless in the first innings and also wicketless in the second innings as well. Are you pulling in the services, Ben? Or which services are you at?
That's a good question. We're pretty near London, I think.
Oh, London services. Yeah, London services. Good services.
There's a Pizza Express, if that helps.
Oh, there's a Pizza Express. No, not sure where that one is. So who's getting off for a wee then? Tell us who's getting off for a wee.
I'm more worried about, are we going to make Ben stay on the coach and talk to
well,
us?
I don't know. I mean, Ben, if you need to go,
That's all right. I'm good. We got 45 minutes here, so
okay.
we're good.
Oh, has the bus driver got to have his break? Where's Matt Maynard when you need him, eh?
Yeah, it's long trip to Chelmsford, isn't it? So.
It is.
Yeah.
So did you? I mean, you could have done it. Do you not fancy doing a Matt Maynard and taking the wheel?
I would definitely crash it.
Right, what were we talking about then? Yeah,
we were talking about the Blast and the importance of beating Essex.
And you were talking
about squad, Ogborn.
I'd love to have Alfie in the squad. My team, for what it's worth, I go Speed Banton, TKC, Abel, Shaw Dixon, Gregory, Ben Green, Shock, Roloff, Jake Ball, and then I'm going to go Alfie Ogborn and Riley Meredith. I just want to see Ogborn playing, I think.
I'd do the same. If you drop Davey there, I'd have Davey in possibly instead of.
Don't get dropped; they get rested.
They get rested.
Yeah.
I think I'd have Davey in instead of Meredith, maybe. But I want to see Ogborn play as well. I think this might be the one for him. I think, though, if it's a high-scoring pitch, it's a bit of a baptism of fire.
No.
Yeah, I think the game last year was really high-scoring. If I remember rightly, at Chelmsford, Somerset chased late 190s or 180s.
We did it quite easily, didn't we? Everybody got sort of 30 or 40. Nobody got a massive score, but we won by 7 wickets, I think.
I think
30, 40.
Everyone came in and just absolutely whacked it, and we won really comfortably. I think I remember Sean Dixon whacking a couple into the houses over the mid wicket area. But yeah, I think it is the highest scoring venue in the country at the moment. It's the stats say that there's been 100 more runs scored there than any other ground in the country so far in the Blast. So expect 200 plus scores, I would imagine.
Well, we've definitely got the batting to chase it and the bowling to defend it. So I'm not particularly worried, but we lost to the bloody Gloucesters, didn't we? And if things conspire against you like the weather did up at Bristol, Christ, how long ago was that now? It's nearly 2 weeks ago now. Time flies, doesn't it? Time certainly flies. Speaking of the Gloucesters, we've got them again. Cider Derby Mark II. That is on Sunday the 7th. Still a few tickets available, I gather.
I expect they might be gone. They might be gone, but I'm going to have a look in a sec. I expect they're not.
There were 75 about an hour ago. They'll be gone by the time anyone listens to this, I think.
Well, I hope so, yeah. Full house to beat the Gloucesters. Right. We've avoided this somewhat delicate subject, but should we have a chat about the thought process of the England selectors vis-a-vis selecting?
I'm going to go back to talk about cosmology. It's an easier problem, but sure, yeah.
Well,
Bashir versus Leach.
Selecting a bowler that we have great hopes in, think has got fantastic potential, but did put out on loan and then got clossed for a then world record or county championship record amount of runs in and over, versus Jack Leach, who is a vastly more experienced bowler, seemed to be blossoming under the Brendan McCullum, Ben Stokes, Rob Key regime. Started off bowling all right in India, then did his knee. Has been out of cricket for a little while. Has come back. He's not been at his best, but he's not bowled terribly. So they've picked Shoaib Bashir ahead of Jack Leach, and then to further, not necessarily confuse things, but muddy the waters somewhat, is Somerset selected Jack Leach on Sunday morning and left Shoaib Bashir on the bench wearing a bib. Discuss. It's an odd
possibly
one,
a good thing that the players aren't on the coach with Ben for this topic.
Well, I think only Jack
to...
would be. I'm not sure where Bash would be at the moment, but yeah, it's a very. I mean, it just would have made for a very strange dressing room dynamic for one thing. I think.
Yeah, it was interesting what Rob Key said afterwards. I mean, I think when we initially heard the news, we kind of just maybe thought it was a bit of experimentation or whatever. But to see Rob Key came out and sort of essentially said that the route back for Jack now is a second spinner. And, just kind of just thought that was a slightly interesting comment.
It's almost rude, really, isn't it? I mean, unless he's misspoken, because generally he speaks quite well, Key, and even as a pundit in his previous role. I mean, even when he was a captain, being interviewed by the media, he talked a lot of sense, and I've got a lot of time for the bloke. But it does seem to be a very, very strange decision, because generally you want your spinner in England to bowl well in that fourth innings and take wickets and win your games when the pitch is turned in fourth innings. First innings, they've got to be able to do that containing job. And Leach, I think, for me, holding a gun to my head, or not even holding a gun to my head, it's free opinion that he is better at doing both of those jobs than Bash is at the moment.
I think I sort of had it sorted out in my head in that I don't think the England setup have any faith in any county coaching. Like, they've made pretty clear that they want England players with them doing their thing. And if you believe that for a second, then if you don't have Bashir to work on or with this summer to try and turn him into the kind of home bowler that you're talking about, you're not going to do it next summer when India are visiting. And then if you don't do it then, the Ashes come around, and we're always obsessed with the next Ashes and so on. But I think if you believe that you have some magical England powers to take a young bowler or an inexperienced bowler and turn them into the next Nathan Lyon or whoever it is, then you have to do that now. And I think, like Ben, until I heard Key's comments, that at least made some sort of sense. You could sort of see what they're doing with the wicket-keeping position as well, where they want what's-his-face in the team. And they want to try that now, and maybe in the winter they'll go otherwise or so on. But again, let's get hold of somebody that's put them in. I think that the frustrating thing will be for me, if they want to do that, I think it solves our problem as to who to pick for the next few months. But they have to play him. If they've picked him for that purpose, there is no point leaving him on the bench for the 6 tests. He's got to play, and he's got to play all 6, because only at the end of a long run you're going to be able to see if there's improvement. You've got to be patient with him. Is he turning into the kind of bowler that you want him to be? But it will be intensely frustrating if they grab him, take him into the England camp, and then he's running drinks for most of the time because they decide not to. Like, you can certainly see, not that anyone would necessarily do this deliberately, but we're going to assume, I think, that the Lord's pitch, which is first up, is going to be a James Anderson special, right? Make that.
Like the pitch at Southport the other day.
Right,
That's another
exactly.
Brilliant county cricket this week. Jimmy Anderson 7 for nothing in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it turns out he can still bowl, as it turns out.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah. Oh, somebody said, who was he bowling with? That attack I saw a stat that attack had more wickets than any county championship attack ever.
Yeah, but it was Anderson, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. So I, if England want Bashir, I think that's great for him. It solves our problem, but they better play him. That's my my take on it.
And I've been casting my mind back as well. England do not have a great record blooding and developing young spinners. In fact, they've got a bloody awful record of doing it. You know, Mason Crane, Simon Kerrigan, Chris Schofield. I'm sure there's a few others.
Don Bess, arguably.
Don Bess. I mean, Don Bess wasn't quite, but they never really persevered with any of them, really. I mean, and how old was Jack when he first played? So he's 26, 27, around that age?
Not sure.
I could probably look.
It was later, right? He wasn't called up when he was young.
Well, he wasn't a rookie spinner anyway. He'd been winning games and taking bags of wickets for Somerset for a number of years before he made his England debut in, I think it was New Zealand, about 6 or 7 years ago now. So my feeling is spinners need to bowl. They need to learn their game, and it is very difficult to do that in the crucible of a test match. It really is. So I don't know. I mean,
and if he has the kind of over that he had the other, last week, which went for, what was it? It was 34 or something.
38. It was a record until Robinson, who's also not in the England squad, got off at 43.
But if that happens in a test match, then that's front page news and all sorts of things. So anyway, we'll just have to hope he's good. Yeah.
I mean, going back to your hypothetical whiteboards that Warwickshire had, you can bet they've got Bashir, get after him. Yeah. Because if you can cloth him out the attack after 3 or 4 overs, you make your game a lot easier. So, I don't know. But, I don't think any of us are in any doubt that he's got the potential to be a fine bowler and also a fine international bowler.
Yeah. But he's underrated as a batsman as well, I think. I've thought that since last summer.
Well, don't ask Craig Overton about that.
No, that's true.
Costing him a century against, was it Nottingham?
But maybe we're just I think we need to acknowledge we're heading towards. I was looking around the various things that are going on at the minute. Maybe we're just heading to a world in which it's compulsory that every team in the country plays at least one Somerset player. I think this is where we're going, because obviously we've got Leicestershire, which is Somerset seconds with Green and Goldsworthy. We've got Sonny Baker playing for the set day. We've got Thomas Rube at 16 playing for the England under-19s. I think this is just, if we're going to have these players, never mind. It was
so difficult to know where to cast your attention yet. Well, not that difficult, but Baby Rube playing for the under-19s. I don't think he got any. Only got about 5 or 6.
He got 60 in one of them in the second game. I think he got one good shout out of the 3. I think so. I think that's right. What was it? Ben Green took 6 wickets. Goldsworthy got a 40 and a 70 something. Ben Green's batting at 9 for some reason, but okay. I just think this is the future. All players should be contracted to Somerset, and then we'll send them where we think. Yeah. That's right. In fact, we could have, if we had 100 players maybe contracted, we could brand the competition.
Well, anyway. that I mean, just taking the jest out of that comment, that's kind of what we need, because if we're going to lose 11 players to the bloody 100 every year, we've got to have those players on the books to fulfill a fixture in the One Day Cup,
right?
Which means you are going to have players like Lewis Goldsworthy, like Ben Green, like all the other lads who aren't playing any first 11 cricket, but would quite easily slot into a Division 2 side.
Yeah. Or some of the Division 1 ones as well.
Oh, yeah, even that. Exactly. Who's on the bus then, Ben?
So Polly's here.
Hi, Polly!
Yeah.
Getting away from Polly, that's good.
And everyone else has gone in.
Oh, so you and Polly are in charge?
We are in charge.
Oh, is he left the keys?
When you're done, please tell Polly that I took a whole bunch of people to the cricket on Monday who had never been before, and after about an hour, 2 of them separately said, "Why is the Somerset flag bigger than the other flag?" So these things are noticed by people. I feel.
I'll let her know that there were some flag admirers in the ground on Tuesday.
Yeah, is the away flag on the bus at the moment?
I don't think we do it for T20.
Do you not?
I think
I know why that is.
we
It's
need a
'cause you
special
batting
T20 flag.
Well, it's because you need a batting flag and a bowling flag, you see, and it's
Yeah. It's more that we need to get away before like midnight, and like the last thing that we need to be doing when we need to get out to avoid traffic is taking down a flag.
well, that's all right. I'm sure you can.
But it's obviously a lot easier with the home matches, and yeah, it looks great.
Do we know why the Warwickshire flag wasn't being flown? Oh, Polly's talking. Say that again, Polly. Why am I shouting? Polly can't hear through your earpods.
Polly said that she used to do some of the elements of that as a job.
Nice.
Flag making.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
excellent.
the Warwickshire flag was up on Monday.
It was
at
quite
least.
tiny.
It was there. It was small. But,
It was. Yeah.
Maybe Polly could commission me a flag for the Royal Van der Merwe Pavilion.
Yeah.
Hey, how about that? I'll get designing. Right. I think we've nearly done our hour, chaps. I think we've got everything. Oh, Archie Vaughan has also been called up for the England under-19 test. So best of luck to you, Archie. And I think I would like to hope that he would get into the Always Look on the Bright Side of Life Metrobank Royal London One Day Cup side this year. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing that because, as he alluded to previously, there's a lot of players on the books who are just not because they're not any good. It's just because our first 11 is so strong, aren't getting the opportunities. So looking forward to that.
Should be fun that this year. I think we've got a vaguely competitive side. I think somehow.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I was speaking to chap Steve up at Bristol, and he was saying, "Do the One Day Cup side. It's not bad, especially if Riley Meredith's able to play a good proportion of those games, and Miguel Pretorius re-signs as well."
I like your
Ben,
Pretorius for the One Day Cup campaign.
You just like scribbling it. Re-sign Miguel Pretorius again.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if if those names are injuries is going to be the problem. We've had that.
Yeah, we don't have much
Yeah.
backing. Yeah,
that's the problem in the past, is that we've gone down on around this time of year and gone, actually that 1 to 11 or 1 to 13 looks like it can do a job, and then injuries have happened, and then it's quickly unravels, doesn't it? But
yes, it does. Oh yes, it definitely does.
good, excellent. I have to go.
Happy
and cook
days. Right, looking forward to watching the boys tomorrow night then on the Essex live stream, and then are we on Sky on Sunday, Ben?
We are.
Oh,
Sky
excellent.
Sports.
Oh, that means you're gonna have a fun Saturday. Getting back from Chelmsford at about 4 a.m, straight down the ground for 8 o'clock to get all the wires plugged in.
Yeah, it's always fun this time of year, but it's
good.
good.
Oh, well. Good stuff. Right.
All right.
Thanks a lot, chaps. And
I'll
see you on Sunday.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Cheers.
Ta-ra.